JBN, we keep you informed. 51-year-old St. Elizabeth man shot dead at home. Police are investigating the presumed shooting death of a man whose body was found at his home in Stonefield, Barbary Hall, Southwest St. Elizabeth on Wednesday. The deceased has been identified as 51-year-old Michael Taylor, also known as Jumbo of Stonefield. Police say that on Monday night, February 3, residents of Stonefield reported hearing loud explosions in their community. However, follow-up checks revealed nothing further. Then on Wednesday, Taylor's brother paid a visit to his home, only to find the decomposing body on a bed with gunshot casings nearby. Taylor lived alone, police say. Taylor's death brings to 6 the number of murders in St. Elizabeth since the start of the year, compared to 2 for the similar period a year ago. Despite the uptick, head of the St. Elizabeth Police Division, Superintendent Samuel Morgan, said that the police are not daunted and are committed to maintaining safety and security. He said proactive crime-fighting strategies, including mobile and foot patrols in towns and villages, were ongoing. The task of the police is to ensure citizens are safe, and I want to assure everyone that the concerns of citizens constitute the worksheet of the police, said Morgan. He said police investigators were making good progress in all the cases of murder. 3 cases had been cleared up with arrest of alleged perpetrators, including the killing of a young woman allegedly by her ex-boyfriend in Brinkley, Southeast St. Elizabeth in mid-January. Morgan said domestic disputes and conflicts appeared to be the root cause of most murders in St. Elizabeth. He said a major alert by police at community meetings in St. Elizabeth was focused at getting people to appreciate the need to resolve differences without resorting to violence. Son among 4 men charged with murder, father tagged as rapist. The son of 59-year-old Glenroy Gordon, a St. James man whose body was found in a Trelawney cane field with chop wounds last week, is among 4 persons charged with the recent murder of his father. The accused are 35-year-old Namardo Gordon, 28-year-old Christina Kane, both of Florence Hall, Trelawney, 40-year-old Ralston Thomas of Lilliput, and a 35-year-old Andre Campbell of Norwood, both in St. James. They are scheduled to appear in the Falmouth Parish Court today, Thursday, February 6. Reports are that about 10 a.m. on Wednesday, January 29, the police who were summoned to a cane field in Danieltown, Trelawney, discovered Gordon's body, with chop wounds lying face down beside his motor car. The body was tagged with a note marked rapist. Mayhem in Hackey Walk. Police have stepped up patrols in the northern St. Andrew community, known as Hackey Walk, and several neighboring communities amid suggestions of possible reprisals for the shooting of 8 people, 3 fatally, Tuesday night. Minutes after the shooting, which occurred about 8:15 p.m. Tuesday, police teams were seen in the nearby community of Marvelly, ordering businesses closed and telling residents to leave the streets, amid claims that the gunmen who carried out the attack were from that area. There's been a more than year-long feud involving gangsters from Marvelly and others from Hackey Walk. One theory being probed by the police is that this attack was an escalation of what has so far been a bloody conflict. Another theory is that it was part of a fight by rival gangs over control of the multi-million-dollar extortion racket, which takes place at the nearby bus terminus on Chancery Street. A high-level probe has been launched by the police's Major Investigation Division as the cops try to determine the cause of the latest shooting. But up to late yesterday, the investigators had failed to make any significant breakthrough. The victims were identified as 33-year-old Omar Morris, 45-year-old bus driver Evroy Hibbert, and 18-year-old Adonis Hibbert, all of Kingston 19. According to the official police report, the 8 men were standing on Malines Road in Kingston 19 when they were pounced on by armed men traveling in 2 motor cars who opened gunfire, hitting them. The police were alerted, and the injured men taken to the hospital, where Morris, Evroy, and Hibbert were pronounced dead and the other 5 men admitted. Police sources said the bus driver, Evroy Hibbert, had just stopped to buy a food at a popular restaurant and bar close to the entrance of Hackey Walk and a few meters from the upscale Queensborough Gardens when he was caught up in the attack. According to police sources, one of the men fatally shot had been on their radar for some time as he was believed to be involved in several criminal activities. Woman charged with stealing baby Nair denied bail. 21-year-old Anisha Ramsey, the woman charged with stealing baby Nair Frank, was today denied bail when she appeared before the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court. Ramsey was charged last week by the police following a ruling from the Director of Public Prosecutions. The police say a DNA test was conducted, which confirmed that the child belonged to the registered parents. The infant was discovered at a house in Hopewell District, St. Andrew, on January 22, and Ramsey was taken into custody. Nair was reportedly stolen at 5 weeks old while he and his mother were walking along Russell Road in St. Andrew on the afternoon of Sunday, October 13, 2019. According to the presiding judge, Fiona Ferrier-Gregory, Ramsey's bail application was denied because there are still some documents that are outstanding, which a court needs to make further decisions on her case. Ramsey is expected to return to court on March 13. Running scared, Morgan slams PMP's Duncan Sutherland for skipping Clarendon Southeast by-election. People's National Party PMP caretaker Patricia Duncan Sutherland has been criticized for opting out of the March 2 by-election in Clarendon Southeast after Member of Parliament Rudyard Spencer resigned on Monday. Robert Nestor Morgan, Parliamentary Secretary in the Office of the Prime Minister and putative heir in the neighbouring Clarendon's North Central seat, said that the PMP decision was born out of fear of losing to Pernell Charles Jr. Spencer's anointed successor. Morgan dubbed as spurious the PMP's argument that a by-election need not be called because the national poll was imminent. As it relates to the PMP candidate's fear of going up against Pernell Charles Jr. in a by-election, I am very fascinated by that decision, as if indeed you've been working in a seat for over 6 years, and if you say, as you assert, you've made inroads into the strength of the Jamaica Labour Party in the constituency, then logically it would follow that you would jump at the opportunity to sit in the lower house, he said yesterday, after a Lions Club of Kingston meeting at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel in St. Andrew. Morgan cited JLP Communications pointman Matthew Samuda's pithy declaration that there's no route through Southeast Clarendon for Patricia Duncan Sutherland to end up in the lower house. The government senator who defended the work of the government and Spencer in the constituency said he was confident of a JLP win, even if Duncan Sutherland, who is affectionately called Trisha by her supporters, had faced the starter's gun. He also took a swipe at opposition leader Dr. Peter Phillips, who eked out a less than 3% victory in a party presidential election over challenger Peter Bunting. The reality of it is that the current opposition leader is walking on one leg, and if he loses another by-election, he will have no leg to stand on for the general election. I think that is the real story. In a statement yesterday, PMP General Secretary Julian Robinson said that the people of Jamaica could not reasonably be expected to provide the Electoral Office of Jamaica with tens of millions of dollars to pay for a contrived by-election when a national poll, which will cost more than $1 billion, was due in 12 months. Spencer's 4 terms in the seat date back to his election in 2002. Record racket. Operators accused of plundering pockets of poor, stealing revenue from government. The government has signaled its intention to amend the legislation governing the seizure of motor vehicles by record operators in a bid to stamp out rampant corruption, which has been cited as pillaging the poor and creaming off state revenue. The promised reform will bring on side hundreds of bus and taxi operators who often described the actions of the police and the Transport Authority officers as malicious. Speaking at the Transport Authority Hope National Service Corps Drivers Training launch in St. Andrew yesterday, Transport Minister Robert Montague argued that unscrupulous police were deliberately using latitude in interpreting the law to punish public operators as part of a scheme to shake them down for money. The minister said that he would seek to close the discretionary loophole, giving law enforcement officers the option to either ticket motorists or seize their vehicles. If Montague has his way, motorists will have to be ticketed for breaches of traffic laws or other stipulations. Montague was emphatic in his denunciation of graft as an acceptable norm of the streets. The amount of corruption that is involved in the wrecking of people's vehicles shows that they take up people's vehicles, and as you go around the corner, a man calls you and says, if you pay money, we'll let the vehicle go. Sometimes they seize the vehicle and it doesn't reach the pound. There's a lot of corruption in the seizure of poor people's vehicles, and we have to acknowledge it, he said, revealing he had been a victim of the scam. His call has received the backing of Edgerton Newman, president of the Transport Operators Development Sustainable Services, who was often bristled at the treatment of cabbies and busmen by the police. The lobbyists say that rogue cops had spawned a culture of intimidation and punishment, with many transport operators fearful to make reports because they would become targets. When you lodge a complaint, what they ask you to do is to bring proof. But when you bring proof, you're in trouble, because tomorrow your vehicle might be seized forever and ever, or you might have your tires punctured, especially in Spanish Town, Newman said. Montague's declaration yesterday followed the script on which he sought to anchor his campaign against corruption, as he took the same message to the opening of the Transport Authority's Northern Regional Office in Tower Isle, St. Mary last Wednesday. He said he was operating as an emissary of Prime Minister Andrew Holness, who he said has given him orders that government must facilitate and help, not hinder. So let me issue a little warning to the recommend them, who is charging all kind of fee that them make. Wanna better stop. It has to stop. You're not going to be a burden upon poor people back, said Montague. After they seize people's vehicle, and money run upon the record owner and the vehicle drop off and the government not get the revenue, that is corruption, and we have to stamp it out. JBN, we keep you informed. Please remember to subscribe, like, share, leave us a comment and click the notification bell to receive our daily news items.